How to Construct a Gun from Your Own Flesh by Michael Uhall. 1. Preliminary considerations. A gun made from your own flesh is no more difficult to conceive than any other biological product manufactured by the body, be it the growth of bone cells during development, the cyclical replacement of epidermal layers, or even significantly more rapid processes such as the relatively constant production of blood platelets, mucus, semen, or tears. Ordinarily, we consider the products of our biology very little. They exist in the background as necessary but invisible constituents of daily life. At best, they are secondary to whatever effects they make possible. Spilled blood as accessory to a murder, saliva as the correlate of a kiss. Externalized, they can be nuisances, stains, evidence. Of course, this is only true for the more superficial products. The deeper you go, the more troubling an externalization becomes. If your car started growing skin, or your shoes wept blood, if buildings grew thick with outgrowths of bone, like dense, strange forests, this would be considered anomalous. The reason, however, is because such possibilities are merely conjunctive, teratological. They effect a fantastic marriage between what a biology produces and that which environs it. A gun made from your own flesh, however, does not resemble any chimera, but rather it differs in no fundamental way from any other possible product manufactured by the flesh. In what follows, how this is possible and what such a gun must be like will be described. 2. Theory of the gun. Any theoretical biology sufficient for the purposes of constructing a gun from your own flesh must first and foremost concern itself with the weaponization of biological form as such. A gun made from your own flesh is the epitome of such weaponization. In addition to performing much the same function as a machine-tooled metal gun, it is maximally surreptitious, because a gun made from your own flesh exists as nothing more than benign, unobtrusive structures normally found in or on the body until the time of its construction. It cannot be confiscated or detected until its deployment. Necessary for such a gun, therefore, is ease and speed of its construction. Initial tests of prototype models made from the flesh of test subjects resulted in the general incapacity of those subjects either to complete construction or to deploy the prototype effectively in the field. Given these failures, largely due to blood loss or ineffectual pain management strategies, the solution to this problem is either to weaponize biological form further through the integration of modular components within the body itself, or to enable the rapid manufacturing of component parts in an appropriately programmatic sequence. More colorfully, to construct a gun from your own flesh, you must either build it in or shit it out. In other words, to construct a gun from your own flesh, the body must become a factory, a body factory, the latent capacities of which may be initialized either on command or on cue. The cue in question would be undoubtedly environmental, e.g., a harmonic progression integrated into otherwise innocuous incidental music, and activation conceivably could be voluntary or not. 3. Description of the gun. The physical appearance of the gun made from your own flesh may vary, although a number of structural features must be present for it to fulfill its function adequately. In general, 2 options are available to the user: a handgun or a long gun. In either case, first and foremost consider the barrel and muzzle of the gun made from your own flesh. In the latter case, one possibility suggested by field research indicates that the adjoining of both femurs allows the construction of a spiraling barrel, thus approximating rifling. The process of carving into the barrel of a gun helical grooves that impart bullet spin, thus increasing aerodynamic efficiency in general, as well as significantly improving the ballistic coefficient of the bullet. The reason why the femur is particularly appropriate for a long gun made from your own flesh, then, is because the femur's medial convergence towards the patella occurs at an average femoral tibial angle of 175 degrees. Adjoined properly, the femoral barrel may gyrostabilize the bullet in flight. One disbenefit to the usage of the femurs in this fashion is decreased mobility for the user. As for handguns, additional field research suggests a variety of options, including the conversion of thoracic vertebrae, the extraction of floating ribs, or even the retrofitting of mandibular form into a primitive breech-like structure. One particularly notable possibility is the full or partial conversion of the user's hand, which, consisting of 27 distinct bones, 29 including the radius and the ulna, offers a wide range of construction materials for the body factory's use. Benefits to such conversion include ease of access, increased stability, and general unobtrusiveness. Additionally, the use of phalanges as bullets seems convenient and possible, although further research is required. 4. Functioning of the gun. The bullets of a gun made from your own flesh must be composed from pieces of the body that will maintain their structural integrity at muzzle velocity. A base average of 350 meters per second is sufficient for the purposes of calculation. In addition to whatever pressure will be maintained within the bullet chamber, typically between 30,000 and 70,000 psi, depending on whether it is a handgun or a long gun. A significantly lower pressure in the bullet chamber is necessary in a gun made from your own flesh, given the difficulty of achieving and maintaining higher pressures, much less the structural damage incurred on pieces of the body at such pressures. Of course, a bullet's velocity is highest at muzzle velocity, dropping off dramatically thereafter due to air resistance. One further initial factor to consider is the selection of bullet type. In the selection of bullet type is the extent of setback deformation, or the structural damage occurred by the bullet as it traverses the barrel. Given the foregoing considerations, the only possible bullet type candidates for a gun made from your own flesh are either teeth or shards of bone. The latter bullet type candidate admits of maximum variability, and therefore only the former here will be considered. It is worth noting that calcium orthophosphate has a melting point of 1670 degrees C, whereas bullet temperatures average significantly under 400 degrees C at all times. In other words, temperature is not a relevant factor. Of primary significance, then, is ensuring the ballistic coefficient of a human tooth fired from a presumably imperfect barrel at a speed capable of inflicting massive damage on the target subject. It is likely that any gun made from your own flesh will only admit of a single firing unless modular components are installed in the jaw that allow the rapid removal of teeth for semi-automatic fire. Suggested for this purpose are orthodontic apparatuses whose presence in the mouth is otherwise unexceptional. Accuracy, of course, will be limited, and the gun made from your own flesh will only have a short range. However, given its surreptitious nature and the projected terminal ballistics of human teeth, the gun should satisfy its purpose. 5. Flesh, as seen by the gun. After its successful deployment, the gun made from your own flesh will decide that its existence is no longer secondary, and that further weaponization of biological form is necessary. Cultivating all possible manufacturing capabilities of the body factory will become the new priority for the gun made from your own flesh. When interviewed, the gun made from your own flesh will observe that the weaponization of biological form was probably the best thing that had ever happened to it. It will state, upon further reflection, that your flesh now exists only for the gun's purposes. These purposes will now be elaborated and maximized. The subject, as heretofore conceived, is now a subsidiary function, and its deployment will be closely observed. Revisions issued from its office indicate that such possibilities are likely forthcoming.